Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, just a reminder that Rooster Teeth First members actually get to watch the patch 24 hours earlier on our website. And if you're a First member, you can also watch the patch live as we stream it on Wednesdays and interact with us on Twitter. If you want to see what the hubbub is all about, you can get the details below. Hey, and welcome to the patch with Ashley,
Matt,
Ryan.
and
What's
thanks
left
to
of me?
our sponsor for this episode of the patch, Tipsy Elves, which we'll get into a little bit later. But we were literally right before this airs. It was the countdown, and we were talking about the early Final Fantasies because you were asking what Final Fantasy 1 would have looked like.
Right, because, I played American Final Fantasy 1, which was actually Final Fantasy 4.
I think it's 4. Don't quote me on that.
But it was very pixel arty.
Pixel-tastic.
Well,
Yeah.
we'd call it pixel art now. It was just graphics then.
Top of the line.
Yeah, no,
Back
high
then,
quality.
So realistic. You can tell this one has so many pixels. There's almost a mouth hole.
Oh my god.
There's almost a mouth hole?
Yeah, well, you know,
Yeah.
you get one pixel, and so
Right.
it's from the side, so you can just sort of see like a little bit of a mouth hole.
Sometimes they just replace that with like a black pixel, like whenever they're talking, like, yeah, look at that, it's talking. Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I remember the so I didn't play Final Fantasy 1 until I don't know, a year or two after I'd played 10.
Now, 1-1 or 4-1?
That is confusing when you say it like
That's
that.
a nomenclature issue.
The Game Boy one.
We'll be
So,
using American Standard units for our Final Fantasy discussion.
What did
is there someone drilling?
What the fuck?
Is there literally someone drilling in a broadcast studio? I think there is. Well, it's because
All right.
we're redoing a whole bunch of the building now that animation's gone. We're moving a bunch of stuff. But
I actually
I
thought
played.
that was just the timeline of Final Fantasy reorganizing itself. Yeah, it's one now. There
They
we
were
go.
dragging it slowly across the floor.
all the same. For me, so this is what the old one looked like. Actually,
Well, that's
by
the
the way,
one I'm familiar with.
anyone who wants
That's
to play
Vivi.
it, it's actually on the NES Classic. So I guess you can keep wanting to play it since no one can get the NES Classic, but it's on there. And
So wait, so that was American one.
Right.
I'm going to look
Okay.
this up right
'Cause
now
didn't
because
That was
for me
Final
it was always
Fantasy. It wasn't even
for,
1.
well,
It was
for
just
me it was
Final
always
Fantasy.
3 and 6.
Were the
Well,
two
There was
that
the
translated.
the disconnect.
That means America's missing like 3 Final Fantasies, right?
Yeah, they suck, though.
Yeah, okay. Well,
No one
that's
wanted
fair.
those. That's why they didn't port them.
Yeah.
I can only
mean-
assume.
Well, if you're going off of that and being like 3 or a 4 being like the start for us, you're right. What does the first one look like? Is it just like a pixel hopping around the screen?
Right?
Being like,
Because,
yes.
I mean, there's not like, you can't really go much down the spectrum from that.
Yeah,
and
really,
still have
it's-
graphics. Then it's like Pong.
That was actually it. Pong's
It was
original
Pong.
name
That
was Final Fantasy.
1. I dream of being a paddle, moving up, down.
But never left or right.
No.
No. Heavens, no.
Okay, this
But-
is sorry. It's very.
I think we even broke it
Then-
down on the previous patch, so we were probably rehashing it. But
We at this point we can rehash it.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
fine.
There's 50.
So
nothing else came out this week.
Final Fantasy 1 was released in Japanese and English for NES. Final Fantasy 2 was never officially released in English, but was made for the Famicom.
Oh.
Final Fantasy 3 was never officially released in English either. That was also Famicom. And then 4 was in the US Final Fantasy 2.
So 1 was 1.
Oh, okay. So that was
So
And
one
then
was
4
one.
was
Baseline.
2.
4 was 2.
Yeah.
And then
Didn't they remake 4 for the DS? I might be remembering that wrong too. I know they made one that was like an upscale of an older one.
well, they did. They released 1 and 2 for Game Boy. The reason I know that is because when I got my Game Boy SP, really love the clamshell design. I ended up trading it and getting the Final Fantasy Special Edition because it was pearl white. So
Ooh.
and came with Final Fantasy 1 and 2. So 1 and
okay.
4, and then 5 was 5. And 6 was released in English as Final Fantasy 3.
Wait, did
There
it
you
go 1, 2, 5, and then 3?
Well, they went 1. They went 1, 2, 3, but it was 1, 4, and 5.
Right.
And then I think they
then
just
they
like
skipped
gave
ahead.
up and skipped
Yeah.
to 7, and everything was fine after that.
So when do we hit the scandal that like Final Fantasy 15 actually isn't 15 for us? It's like
Well, it
14
is
and
still
a half,
13
yeah.
verses. Or
Yeah.
versus it's versus 13.
there's like a lot of stuff in that game
Was.
that you can see like, oh yeah, this was originally supposed to be in the 13.
So
There it is, the whole
here are
spectrum.
all of the Final Fantasies. I gotta say, one of the things I like about Final Fantasy is if you were to go to a branding expert today, they would never recommend that sort of aesthetic because it doesn't scale down very well. And it also doesn't work on anything other than pure white, basically.
Oh, the
Yeah.
font, you mean? Or?
Yeah, it's actually very difficult to read. And so I would have forgiven Square Enix for redoing the branding a little bit and getting away from that just so that it's more, I don't know, iconable and just but the thing is it's distinct.
Well, when
and
when they
see
first
it,
came
you
up
know
with
it's
it,
a Final
this
Fantasy.
series goes back so far. When they first came up with it, there was probably only like 6 fonts available, right? So they had to pick one of those.
It was very close to being Comic Sans, actually.
The font actually reminds me a lot as well of the like Star Wars episode
Oh yeah,
1,
kinda.
episode 2, episode 3, and largely it's because of the seraphing,
Yeah.
I think.
Let's
So
just be happy they didn't go with wingdings.
but I agree with you, Matt. You can see there's a lot of stuff in Final Fantasy 15 that shows like the relics of the past.
Yeah,
and
where it's like this was clearly supposed to be something entirely different, but now we've got like a whole other thing going on. And that's not near a bad thing. I
No,
thought
no, no.
13 looked pretty at the time.
Yeah, I did.
at the time.
That's kind of what it had going for it,
Yeah.
right? Was
I mean,
was
it
pretty.
certainly wasn't the story, but
Well, so now
No.
15. There's people that have already beaten it in Japan. Well, obviously, I'm sure by now there are people that have beaten it here as well. But that was kind of the big story over the weekend was that there were people in Japan that had already completed the story. The leaks that were way back when turned out to be true. I forget exactly the nature of it, but someone had posted basically what turned out to be the correct plot to a forum months ago. It's round about 40 hours supposedly.
Well, the
If
story
you do
alone.
the main story.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I think you can power through. Well, maybe not 7, but I feel like I could have probably powered through Final Fantasy 10 in 40 hours if I wanted to.
Yeah.
If you just like, race through it, then all right, 40 hours. By the way, not bad.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
No,
That's a lot of
is-
hours
is-
for racing through a game. And it is just racing through. I spent 5 hours last night and I haven't even taken the ferry yet.
oh yeah, I did that too. Where it's just you walk around that whole wasteland for forever
All right,
trying
so
to find stuff.
all I know about
Okay.
the game so far is I saw part of the Let's Watch that we did a while back.
You
Explain
watched,
to me
did
this.
you watch part of the Let's Watch?
Well, I was in the room.
I remember that.
I was present. Why does no one give a fuck about the prince? They're like, hey, you're the prince of this land.
Here,
He's the
go
prince
of your
deliver
car.
this thing. It
He's
is
the prince
kinda
of that
funny.
city.
Oh,
And
just
they,
the city.
Yeah, pretty much.
That
Well,
makes more sense.
there's like these little sort of like little kingdoms,
Yeah,
and
fiefs.
and they're they're more or less like city states. They're not
Okay.
huge, so and outside of the capital cities, most people don't really care.
Yeah, big prince. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you got a car, great, go deliver this to a person.
Well,
for
it's
me."
such like a starch difference too, where it's like, here is the city. It's like all crazy, wonderful, awesome stuff, and then right outside, is just a desert wasteland.
The architecture really falls off a bit.
Yeah, it's just like the immediate, like, oh well, that's a shack. It might blow over. Who knows?
Also,
and lots and lots of gas stations.
there's
Yeah.
no way that mechanic lady does not get skin cancer almost immediately. I mean, she's wearing nothing and it's
Right.
very bright out.
I always feel like every time I see her, I'm like, I feel like you're cosplaying as Riku. And
Yeah.
and you guys have played
Kinda,
you
yeah.
guys have played Final Fantasy X, so hopefully you can sympathize with me on this. That was my first Final Fantasy game, and so it's my baseline for Final Fantasies. It's the one that I go back to for most of my comparisons, and that goes with characters. A lot of times, like I'll be like, oh, this one's the Waka,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
I get what you
like,
mean,
oh
yeah.
yeah, the prince is such a Titus. And which, by the way, I also found out thanks to Kingdom Hearts is the correct pronunciation
It's
of his
not
name. I always
Titus?
called him Titus.
Yeah, 'cause
because I
it's
felt
Titus.
like
Yeah.
Titus. But in Kingdom Hearts on the beach, they call him Titus. So I
Well,
guess
they are
that's
wrong.
canon.
Yes. No, Kingdom Hearts, you failed. You didn't pass.
I feel like they would have had some sort of approvals over that. It still doesn't feel right in my mouth, but
No, it's
It's
wrong.
I'll
It's
not how
accept
that
Titus.
should be. Yeah.
It
don't
feels
know.
like it should be
You
Titus.
know, let someone bring it up in the original Japanese.
Well,
I
I was
bet
like-
they say it.
I was
somewhere in the game.
we were streaming. Mika and I were streaming FF15 yesterday, and I was talking about like Titus, and someone immediately in the chat's like, "No, wrong, Titus, you're stupid." And I'm like, "No, okay, no, you're right." But I'm not.
Let's all be right.
Honestly, it's tough a lot of times. Pokemon is a really bad one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say like Rattata, because for me it's like a rat-a-tat-tat sort of thing,
Yeah.
and someone's like, "It's a Rattata."
Idiot.
You're stressing the
like-
wrong syllable.
Right. So it's pronunciations
It's
are a
da,
tricky
da,
thing, especially
da, 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 da.
there's especially difficult in
different.
games where the names are never pronounced
Yeah.
because everyone sort of comes up with their own and it just becomes ingrained.
Wait, like so FF10 was like the first one that had voice acting anyway, right?
Yeah.
No one said
They didn't say the name.
Titus or Titus the whole
They
game.
didn't say his name.
All right, that's cool.
It's because he
I
was, spoiler, not real.
Oh God. Oh God.
I gave a delay. That was enough of the delay, right? We're good. There you go. You had a chance.
I think I might have to recast. So who would you give the four dudes in Final Fantasy 15? Which characters would you equate those guys to in other Final Fantasy games?
I haven't played enough of it to really. Plus, I have not a strong enough. So the prince is clearly the red fighter.
Which one's Vivi the mage? I don't know. I think Noctis is kind of like got Cloud vibes going on.
Oh,
from,
you
like-
get Cloud vibes?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
more like Advent Children Cloud, where he's all like, "I'm sad and tired for no reason," but I mean, I'm a prince, so I guess I'll go run around and do whatever.
He's a little emo.
Yeah,
I mean, let's
his
be.
whole ensemble is
He's wearing
like,
so
"Hey,
much
I fell
leather."
into Hot Topic. Can you get me out, please?"
One of the things that I'm looking forward to further in the game is I have heard that there are some different like outfit changes you can get. It's no dress sphere system. Or what do they call it in Final Fantasy 13? I'm not even sure, but it's still the dress sphere system, let's be honest.
Wait, 13.
I like that he makes.
Yeah, it's 13.3 really is
Oh,
where
okay.
is where the dress
That
sphere
was-
system from 10.2 made the comeback.
That was where 13 lost me because I was like, 13. All right, you have another chance with 2, and then I
Look-
played 2, and I was like, time travel, eh?
Yeah, man,
All right.
I
That's
played
okay.
I played 13.2 and 13. Oh, sorry, did I say 13.2? 13.3
Yeah,
is where the
that's
dress
the
sphere
lightning
13s
returns.
were there.
like 3.
Well, I mean, 13 would
so
make sense.
I ended up playing them because I played through 13 and it's like a thing I had with books for a really long time where I felt like, well, I'm into it now. I guess I got to go through. I'm not having
how I
fun
am.
for any of these 300 hours.
Have you ever
I
pulled
want
the eject
everyone to
cord?
know that I'm not having fun.
Have you ever pulled the eject cord on a book series or a
Oh,
game series?
God, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't used to, but I've got to the point now where if it doesn't grab me right off the bat, I'm out. Especially because do you when you read go through almost like trends? Like I'm gonna read a whole bunch of urban fantasy. Now I'm gonna read a bunch of satire. And I'm gonna read something epic.
I mean, I bounce around to just whatever I can find. Like, I'm always looking for books. So, yeah, but I don't... Typically, when I start a book search, it's sci-fi, fantasy, and then mystery in there. Yeah,
You much
Matt
of a
reads.
reader? You're not a
Yeah,
reader, are you?
the books, right?
Your face does not look like a reader.
library. I've been there before.
Okay, look, no one goes to the library anymore. Come on.
We got Kindle.
Yeah. Kindle Unlimited.
Wait, you can't just download books at the library? They
Actually,
don't
I
do
think
that?
you can now.
I think they've got with the times.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no idea. I've never been there. I mean, once, yes.
For me, when I'm reading, it's the nice thing about Kindle and Amazon in general is like, oh, you read this. Well, here's some other stuff that's kind of like it. And so I tend to go down rabbit holes of similar books for a long time. And occasionally those end up being young adult fantasy. And I will pull the plug on those really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I can say, yes, okay, I know what this is. I get the stakes. There's going to be a love triangle in here somewhere. Spoiler alert. In the end,
You ruined all of them.
in the end, this young lady is going to turn out to be a long lost princess or queen or whatever, and she's going to grow up and rule and be wise, et cetera, et cetera. And like I know I can accept that and just
Right.
enjoy the ride. And sometimes I read like 2 pages in and go, I can't take this prose.
Yeah,
This-
the writing
like, this
style
is
can
already
really put you
bullshit,
off.
and I
Well,
can't do it.
And to tie this into video games, can either of you think of a video game series that you have kind of ejected before? I mean, the sequel sales have been really down lately, so it's
Yeah.
kind of an interesting conversation. Is what series turned you off so much that you didn't play it? Which we're in a weird zone because
Yeah.
we end up having to play a lot of them, whether we choose to follow the series or not. But not that I'm complaining. To be
Yeah,
fair,
exactly. It's like, I don't know though. That's a tough question because there's so many that I feel like it's one of those things where I started, I got to see it through, which is the same reason I'm still watching The Walking Dead, where I'm like,
I'm so sorry.
I gotta keep
out.
Like
trying.
you'll still play every new Halo game. You'll still play
Yeah,
every new Gears
exactly.
of War game. You'll still play every Call of Duty. Well, those are a lot of
Yeah.
those are more work based, but
Call of Duty is a game that like I ejected from it until I got here, where it was
pulled
like,
you back in because
yeah,
of
I
work,
was like, well, I got to kind of look at it, but I think it was Modern Warfare 2. I was just like, all right, hard out. I'm done after this.
they did lose it a little bit in 2, which replaying remastered Modern
Mm-hmm.
Warfare remastered. I just finished doing the campaign on that, and you forget how good of a job they did back with Modern Warfare and where they went wrong.
Yeah,
They really had a good cohesive story that they told, and then from then on it was just chasing that. Even like Infinite Warfare was
well, I was gonna say it's like they bundled it with like, yeah, here's what we used to know what we're doing, and then it's
Yeah.
like, haha, Jon Snow, right? You like him?
Does he know anything?
No,
Still no.
he didn't go into space. Didn't teach him anything at all.
they should have.
It should have at that point, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the zombies mode for that game like sold it a lot, but at least like for what I've heard,
Or rather, it at least
Yeah.
made the purchase worth it for those who did buy it.
yeah, that kind of thing. Also, getting Modern Warfare remastered, a lot of people like that. So
Well, it was $20 more though, right? You couldn't buy the. You basically had to buy Modern Warfare remastered
Yeah,
by
didn't
buying the
they-
next level up.
didn't they even do that where it's like if you had a physical copy of Modern Warfare, you couldn't just go return that to play Modern Warfare remastered? Like you couldn't buy it.
You mean Infinite Warfare? You couldn't buy the Infinite Warfare
yeah,
and then take
exactly.
it back.
That's what I meant. You knew what I said.
Yes, I think they did tie it to a disc at one point.
Yeah.
Well,
So everyone's really mad about the hourglass.
I did. I looked at it at one point. I went, nah.
Here's the thing: is that hourglass has got a loose screw in it.
It's not great on keeping time. There's here. I'll flip it. You want to watch? There you go.
Oh God. Okay.
Now
Well,
it's just it's keeping just about as good a time not being started at the correct point. Here, I'll just shake it for a while.
That's not gonna help it.
that'll do it. I mean, I guess. Is it good? Is it good yet? Everybody? I just want you
I like
all
the
to know
whole
that you
set
did this.
Shakes when you do that.
I guess just because we've been talking about it, the example that comes to me of just like, I want off this ride, get me the fuck off this ride was 13. Played 13. I actually liked 13.2 better gameplay wise, so stuck with it. And then 13.3, I played through some of it, but to this day I haven't finished it. At just some point, you stop and you ask yourself what the hell you're doing with your time. And when you are sheepishly trying to justify something to yourself, you realize that this is not gonna work out. I did the same thing actually with Sims 3. Maybe it was Sims 2. I don't even know. It was some Sims game. It was whatever Sims game was new in 2004 or 2005.
That might have been 3. I don't remember. I remember 3 being the game that like I had like my buddies move into a house with me, and then they like kidnapped a kid, and that was like where I was like, okay, well,
I wasn't aware that was an option.
okay. My
Now
friend was
Ryan's
sleeping.
interested to know
He
what
was
it says.
he was sleeping with the neighbor, and
What
then
the kid was?
well, no, my friend in the game. He was sleeping with the neighbor. They had the child, and then he took the child to a museum. Then he came back home, and it was just like, where's the
kid.
kid? Kid was at the museum. Left it there the whole time.
The kid stayed at the museum.
Yeah.
There's a book series about that, I think.
It's called Night at the Museum.
Boxcar Children?
No, there was actually. Damn it! Now I've said it, and I'm gonna have to. It's gonna
Hold
bug,
on.
bug me. But there's.
Internet, can you help Ryan with this?
Yeah.
He needs you. So
It's like a brother and sister, and they go and they just they stay at a museum.
What?
And they just live there.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see what the internet has to say about it. But yeah, the thing was The Sims. It's probably the first big one of that where you're sitting there playing, and Sims is a good one for this because there's really no end. You just sort of keep going, keep
Yeah,
going,
that's
keep
the
going.
thing. It's like, when are you done with that?
Right. Like I guess it's the kind of game where you set your own end point, your own finish. And that finish is when you realize that you're completely wasting your time.
Yeah, that you're not you no longer have a goal to follow. You're just keeping something else alive.
Yeah, and it's while you're enjoying it or while you're having fun with it, that's totally fine. Waste all the time you can. But once you are not having fun, once it's work,
Yeah.
and you're still doing it, and you don't even know why. I just at some point was like, I'm earning money and I'm going to fake work and I'm doing all these things, and and I'm not doing anything with my actual life, and I'm just out.
Meanwhile, real life work, terrible. Fake work, great. But
Not even going to real life work.
As part of this, I'm like revisiting all the things that I was thinking about from other games previously. Did that Stardew Valley co-op patch ever come out?
So they're not yet. There's
okay.
But since you brought up Stardew Valley,
Oh no, what have I done?
Yes, you have done it. There's a mod. So there is now a
Right.
multiplayer mod, and then official multiplayer support is still coming. The developer did put out a huge patch, and this was a while ago, that added new buildings, new marryable people.
Ooh.
So if you want to get with Shane, you totally can. Just saying. Not saying I will, but I will. I was waiting
Add him
for
to
him.
your harem.
Oh, he seems so damaged, like he needs help.
and a harem is just the right place for that.
Right. Well, here's the thing. It's like I've got all of them up at like the 9-10 star point.
The way your eyes like flash, they're like, oh my.
Well, just watching that, watching that fall. It wasn't actually. I wasn't fantasizing about my pixelated villagers. I was actually just watching whatever that is.
Is that what Shane sounds like?
That's what the bed sounds like. But so they put out an update, added like new buildings, new crops, new types of farms as well. If you want like a farm on a hill, or if you want a forest thing, because you'd really just rather spend all your time chopping wood or whatever.
As
so
we do, sure.
They did a bunch of that. But this week specifically, they announced that it's coming to Xbox One and PS4 in December. It comes PS4 December 13th, but 14th for either North America or Europe. It's a split date.
Yeah,
it's a split date depending on your region. And then it's the 14th for Xbox One. And then they've canceled the Wii U port, which huge surprise there. Am I right? But
Is it? 'Cause
now
it
I
seems
have
like
to
that
wait
would've
for
been a
the
platform
Switch
that would've been
instead,
great for that.
instead they've switched to
the Switch.
God.
well,
Why kill the Wii U port? Is it just because there's not an install base that's worth it, or?
It's like the install base is already like smaller than what they're projecting, I guess, with the Switch. And I'm sure it's like being able to carry Stardew Valley with you anywhere would probably be way better than just carrying it to your toilet and then being upset when it's slightly delayed.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, and I don't blame them. I don't blame anyone who cancels any sort of Wii U stuff at this point, because if Nintendo is basically saying we're done with it, and if Nintendo is done with it, then it's fine.
while,
It's like coming upon the Titanic and going, should we still buy a ticket?
Right. It's like you see the captain jumping off, and you're like, I'll board that one. And I feel bad for the Wii U, because actually, as a piece of hardware, I think it had potential. I think the marketing fucked it. And I think that Nintendo's
actually,
notoriously bad third-party support fucked it.
They switched the marketing.
Yeah, we're gonna get tired. We're gonna get tired of making fun of us at some point, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
I mean, hey, look, we made fun of the Wii name for a really long time. We got a lot of mileage out of that one.
I don't know. That like the U thing just didn't make sense on like so many levels with that.
It didn't. Like the second they announced it, everyone thought, well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But unlike the Wii, where everyone made a bunch of pee jokes for a while and then got over it, Wii U never warmed up. So I'm hoping that the Switch does. At the very least, we can make a lot of really bad jokes.
We already have.
Right,
Today.
exactly. So there's something. But I'm excited to see it coming to new platforms, because that game was easily one of my highlights of last year. It's a wonderful indie game. If you liked Harvest Moon, if you like Animal Crossing, if you like any of that kind of stuff, it's just a freaking gem.
See, like
It's a gem, Ryan. Gem.
I need to play a game like that to make up for the fact that I play Minecraft so much. Like, I need a relaxing thing that isn't like constantly making me just place 1,000 blocks over and over.
Well, if you're looking for something really relaxing, but along those lines, may I recommend 7 Days to Die?
It's funny. I was actually just thinking that.
See, I tried that too, except like every time I'm like breaking anything, a zombie just is right behind me always.
You gotta keep the peripheral vision going. You gotta listen for the.
I'm not survivalist
You
enough.
look around, you
for
like check
that.
your corners. No zombie that way, no zombie that way. Okay, it's time to break the door.
They're too fast.
That's my
Wow,
problem. It's
they
like
walk during the day.
I like to do things at night. Also, I don't know how to sleep in that game, so
There isn't any sleeping.
well, there you go.
It's you're nothing but awake.
Well, then why? That sucks because it's like half the time it's just tremendous danger always.
Yeah, you just stay inside your fort and you work on yourself. You
That's
do some
boring,
self-development. You learn some skills.
Also,
you
like,
manufacture some things.
I know the last time I played it, I found a house and I like stay. It was nighttime because
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, great. I'm like, I'm in the house. I've got like a stick and underwear, and then someone like shows up and they're like breaking the door. And I'm like, no, there's zombies out there. Breaks the door, walks away. Zombies come in.
So you were
I
on a
die.
multiplayer.
Yeah, I was on a multiplayer
Okay.
server.
Well,
I'm
there's your
assuming
first mistake.
if I played by myself, I'd be lonely, but I guess I'd live.
Well,
They
it's a zombie apocalypse. Those tend to be lonely.
Here's the thing,
I-
though.
the worst thing you can
finding a
find-
person in a zombie apocalypse can be great though.
Yeah, it can also be like the other human might be the worst thing you encounter.
I
in a
mean,
zombie
I understand
apocalypse.
that. I am still watching The Walking Dead, as I told you earlier. But
Also, it's
I-
probably your fault.
how's that my fault?
Well, did you make the door?
No, I found it.
Oh, so you
found a
stumbled.
door?
So
I stumbled upon like a shed or a
Was it
little
this?
house.
Was
How'd-
it, so
how'd
was
you
this
get in?
person's house?
I just walked in. The door was open when I got
Okay.
there, and
Well-
then I closed the door behind me, and then the zombies came, and they just couldn't get through the door.
Well, what happens a lot of times is if you make a door in multiplayer, it's locked by default.
Oh.
Or you make certain things, it's locked by default. So it could have been the door was locked and the guy didn't have a key, so he just beat the door open to leave.
Well, but he didn't have to. He saw me in there clearly, and he just broke the door down and left.
Well, he didn't care about you.
I understand that now.
He just wanted to leave. You're lucky he didn't break
Well,
down
no,
the wall.
He wasn't in the house. He
Oh,
was
so he broke
outside.
it
He
down.
walked up,
He
broke
came
the door
to the
down,
outside,
Yeah.
knocked down your door, and departed.
and left.
He didn't come in and kill you
No, he
either
didn't
and
come
take
and
your
kill me.
stuff.
Well, I didn't have anything anyway. I had like a torch.
He
and-
probably saw you were naked and was like, this guy's useless.
Yeah, I was
There's
pretty
nothing
early.
to pillage on there.
It
What-
didn't take me 7 days. I
What's
died
the
immediately.
longest you've made it in that game?
Oh, I've gone for weeks.
How many weeks?
I'm trying to remember on the Xbox version. There's an achievement for living for how many days is it? It's a pretty good while, and I've got that achievement.
Okay.
On the Xbox version, I've got to say where I haven't died in quite a while. It's not that hard once you know what you're doing to not die, but every successive 7-day period where you don't die, the horde that comes on that 7th day becomes more difficult.
Well, because they introduce some new crazy type of zombie. So there's the one that'll spit the acid, or the one that will jump like crazy, or the one that's got 1 billion hit points.
I've played Left 4 Dead. Yes.
It's a lot of those archetypes.
Yeah,
archetypes show
it's
up again.
it's standard zombie tropes really. But the point is they may be cliches, but they can still kill you.
Oh yeah.
And I think Bernie's playing this game at the moment as well, and I think he's past 35 days. It's pretty crazy.
Oh.
Dude, I got to 1. And that's where that
You
encounter
got a
ended.
day?
Yeah, a day to die.
Let me see what that achievement was for.
But yeah, very, very, relaxing zombie game. It surprises me actually that
just
game's still in
seems
alpha,
Yeah,
but there's so
Yeah.
much to it. And
It started as a Kickstarter like 2 years
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
2 or 3 years ago. And it's funny because that's the first and only Kickstarter I think I've ever backed. Just because their write up on it looked really ambitious, and I wasn't sure if they could deliver, but it looked like it was tailor made for Let's Plays. So I backed it to help the game out, and because you could get an early key for it. So, and I wanted to check it out. It's changed so much since then. It's sort of ridiculous that it's apples to oranges versus what it was when it launched. So
yeah, it's not a pretty game by any stretch of the imagination.
no,
Obviously,
but it is
it's-
getting prettier.
There's more to it than
It's
than
function.
voxels, which makes it more difficult in a lot of ways, especially for indie developers. But it's not the kind of game that you pay attention to that for very long. If
Yeah.
you're a bystander watching, it's really easy to see it and say, like, oh, that doesn't look amazing. I can see
There's,
why
like, a
it's
lot
like an
going
alpha
on.
or an indie
Yeah.
game, but when you're actually playing it, all that falls away pretty quick. So, big fan of that one.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to Stardew Valley though. I'm really looking forward to that. Like, I was not able to play it on the PC because like my computer at home just sucks. But the Xbox version's what I hold out for anyway.
Yeah, well, not long to wait. How long did you
So
go?
the achievement is not tied to days necessarily, but it's for 1,250 minutes lived consecutive.
How many minutes per
How
day?
many?
Typically, by default, it's 50.
Okay.
50 minutes per
So-
day.
So that's basically 25 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could round it up. It might be 4 weeks. Might be 28 days.
Yeah.
Or,
But I think,
Thereabouts.
and that
Yeah.
I still have that save, and I haven't died in it, so it's probably more than that. But ever since I got most of the achievements, I've stopped on the Xbox version because it's so much worse than the PC version.
it's tough for me. When did you stop caring about gamer score? Or did you ever care about it on Xbox?
It comes and goes. Like I got over
got
100,000, which was kind of cool. But I've never been so obsessed with it that I need to complete every game just because there's so it's like to get in most games to get 80% of the score is
That's
that's an enjoyable
Yeah.
amount to do, and that last 20 is like, all right, now play the game 7 more times.
Yeah, it's like I look at the game and I'm like, if I think I can do that without it being
Yeah.
too much of a pain, oh yeah, I'll 100% it. But
Right.
yeah, and I have to enjoy the game as well. I know like Final Fantasy actually doesn't look too hard. Like the new
Really?
one. Yeah.
It's
I haven't looked at all the hidden ones, but if they're just story based, then it's like, yeah, that's totally doable.
Yeah, the new Final Fantasy I've had I've been the reason I haven't taken the ferry yet, and the ferry is reasonably early on story wise. You basically drive around, you do a couple of more or less tutorial quests, and then sticks you on a ferry, and then that's when stuff actually starts happening. And the reason I hadn't gone on it yet is I'm very caught up in the classic RPG tropes of you do everything but the main quest until there's nothing left to do, because you worry about getting locked out, missing out, and not being able to go back. And there's at these various like gas stations or havens or whatever, you can talk to tipsters. They give you hunting missions, and the hunting missions are all these various levels. So I at the moment I think I'm level 5, peanuts really, but there's some of the hunting missions that are available in the area go up as far as 15, and so then I worry that I'm underpowered. And so then I'm running around just like killing a bunch of time because I don't want to get on that ferry and then lock myself out. Apparently, it's not going to be a huge concern, so I'm just going to say,
Yeah.
screw it, get on the ferry tonight and then go do stuff.
I was about to tell you, like, yeah, I'm still in that area and I've gone on the ferry.
Okay, great.
So,
So
yeah.
I won't worry about it too much, but you sort of like hang back.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We streamed a little bit of it yesterday. We basically like just followed on your
Yeah,
stream
we
with another
streamed
stream.
like right there.
Just going through the very, very beginning of it. And admittedly, I didn't pick up on the mechanics nearly as quickly during the stream because you're concentrating on like talking and
yeah,
everything as well. But last night when I played it, I picked up on a lot more details a lot more quickly, and I haven't had a problem with combat since, because you can basically teleport yourself out and heal up and then come back in. You're running low on health, get out of the combat zone, they'll stop running after you. You just sit there and go, feel better, run back in, and they haven't recovered.
My favorite thing is like when he teleports to like one of those like really high vantage points. He's like, hold on, like, okay, I'm healing up here.
Yeah, he's
I
like,
got it.
he's like, just taking it easy, resting, no
This
big.
is how I relax, just clinging to the side of buildings.
But it feels very different for me than previous Final Fantasy games. It doesn't feel, again, with 10 being my benchmark, the combat's gone way far away because, then once, by the time we got to 13, it's very real-time, action-y. You've got timers on abilities and that sort of thing. But otherwise, it feels much more action RPG-ish, and
this one-
the turn-based system's gone, and this takes that even more so. You don't even control your other characters. You can occasionally
you can't do anything with the other
well
ones?
you can set techniques for them, and so they've got different powers, and you can occasionally tell one of them to perform this specific move, but other than that they do their own thing, and then you do you.
How do you feel about that?
I miss controlling the full team. So I wish that was a thing. I don't know how you would do that in a fully action-oriented setup. So I get why they've backed it off and you just control your one character. But I can't say that I don't miss it.
I mean, it's something that Dragon Age did fairly effectively. So I mean, it's doable.
And it does. It actually the combat does feel a lot like Dragon Age in that way. That like they more or less take care of themselves. They do their powers. You can occasionally say, "Hey, do this one," but other than that, you're fighting much more as an individual than as a full-on team, I guess.
I do feel like that's more approachable of a combat system than controlling every character. That can be sort of intimidating, especially to people new to series. Like Dragon Age's combat was deep if you wanted to go that far with it, and you kind of at some points had to. So yeah, I don't know. In my case, since I think I'm gonna play this game, but I do like from
Having,
the
like,
outside
full
at the
control.
moment I like in this case I like that it's going to be a little bit more approachable.
Yeah.
I like that I'm only going to have to worry about my guy and then a little bit with the others.
Yeah, it's like the most you have to worry about them is like I know Prompto for me a lot of times he keeps getting knocked out and I'm like, you idiot, stop getting. He's like takes pictures in the middle of battle, so he just gets stabbed randomly.
You brought a paparazzi with you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kinda what he is.
He is your buddy, and at the end of every day, he shows you all the pictures he took, and half of them are of combat, and you're like, why were you stopping and taking pictures while we were all fighting?
what were you doing
Prompto?
Does his
Come on.
flash at least blind enemies or something?
No, he just takes pictures.
But he's also your ranged fighter, so he's the one who's using pistols while the rest of you are using swords.
I like to imagine he does have like the incredible one-handed reload where he's just like, all right, toss the bullets up, I'll reload while I'm taking a picture.
Now, the trick is to just get like a really cool belt of clips, and
Oh,
so you
yeah.
can do that thing where you just go. I've always wanted to do that.
And then they'll sell that for 200,000 yen.
Well, yeah,
It's Gil.
it's skill.
Well, no, we're the stuff last time we were talking about.
Oh
they
yeah,
sold a lot of
we
this
did
stuff
last
in
week. We were
real
talking
life.
about the fashion line, the Final Fantasy 15 fashion line, and some of the things are like upward of $1,600.
Right.
Wow. For like
How would
Noctis's
you like to
rain
look like
boots
a-
or whatever.
I think for his
Best
leather
things,
jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, that's well. I
And,
guess
and
that
like
kinda
one of the
makes-
vests,
really
one of the
that
like
much
bedazzled vest was I think 1,600, and I think Noctis's jacket was upward of like 2,000. It was pretty insane. I mean, it's a high end fashion line. I'm sure it's all real leather made of princes.
Now I paid
There you go.
$2,000.
100% Prince leather.
I paid $2,000 for
Organic.
Gladiolus's shirt if it came with the abs as well. So it's like, yeah, there we go.
It would if it had one of those little like taser systems on the inside that
where it
shocks
just, like,
your abs
slowly
until they get
makes
better.
me muscle bound.
Well,
you
you
go.
know what shirt you're not going to have to pay $2,000 for?
Tell me, Ashley.
Well, everyone needs an ugly Christmas sweater at this time of the year. Like this one. This is a great one. This is like my new favorite shirt. If you want bragging rights for the most talked about sweater at your Christmas parties, listen up. Tipsy Elves has hundreds of Christmas sweater designs that are like nothing you've seen before. They're not for the faint of heart. Check out the all-new 2016 sweaters. You won't find them anywhere else. Tipsy Elves sweaters are all about fun, but are serious on quality and construction. You might even be able to find one that will give you abs. Right now, our listeners can get 20% off tipsyelves.com on anything they order on the site. Shop now so you have the best selection to choose from and have it in time for your ugly Christmas sweater party. Go to tipsyelves.com, enter code PATCH at checkout to get your 20% off site-wide discount. That's tipsyelves.com and the code PATCH.
I got actually that exact same sweater for a different podcast, and it arrived today, and the tag on it is called "Men's Humping Sweater."
I just like I like this one because if you don't look at it too long, you're like, oh, Christmas sweater. And the second you go, wait a minute.
I had that.
That's literally what you did to me. You're like, oh, you like my sweater? I was like, oh, yeah, it's really. Wait. Hang on.
I had that actually with a Christmas gift, or not Christmas, sorry, well, a wedding gift Laurie and I got, which was like this silver bowl, or no, sorry, it was a silver ice bucket, and we got it, and I was like, what, do people still have ice buckets? Cool, thank you, whoever gave that to us. We returned it. But after looking at it for a while, we're like, oh, it's got little bunnies. It's a little like forest scene. Like, oh, look, they're all playing, and those two are kind of playing to. Oh, they're boning. Yeah, there's just rabbits having sex at one point on this little pastoral bunny scene. Which I guess with rabbits, you kind of gotta
It's
put it
just
there.
realistic.
Yeah, I mean that's. But thanks for holding my ice screwing rabbits.
Yeah, good times. Good times. But, so here's the bedazzled vest. Actually, this is the one that I think we figured out was $1,600.
Man,
There you go.
Prompto is apparently really rich.
Well,
Don't
I mean,
really know.
they're all the prince's buddies.
He's Entourage,
true.
right? This
Yeah.
is Final Fantasy Entourage.
This is Final Fantasy Entourage. It's all about the road trip. And
And when does the prince go play Aquaman? That's the only thing I know about that
well,
show.
he has to,
plays Aquaman.
He has
at
to
some
do
point,
before
right?
he can do his
don't
before
know.
he can do his art kinghood.
Sure.
Okay.
I knew enough about the show to make that one reference and nothing else.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did some sort of like gritty. You know what? Final Fantasy.
There you go.
Yeah, I've never seen Entourage. No idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's Entourage as a show is very much that sort of like a bunch of dudes and they're all good buddies and they're it's very brotastic and that's really like the theme of Final Fantasy 15, which is an interesting little window for me. I don't know. I've never been on a road trip before, so it's kind of cool and weird. Just like seeing like this is an experience that I never have and never would have. I mean, forget the giant monsters. Just like going on with my with my three bros driving around the country. I've never done, and I probably never will do.
Step number 1, you take a card
Okay.
that will break down
Okay.
about 20 feet
critical,
away.
yeah.
Exactly. And then you push it to the nearest gas station.
Ideally, also taking no money with you.
That's true.
It's important not to carry any cash.
Very true. You want to just like live on the road for the next few days.
Yeah, or supplies, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick thing. I
But
want
be
to.
heavily armed.
Lots of guns and swords. If you can
Yes.
have the swords with guns attached, that's totally good too.
By the way, we have an answer for your book. Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar. Okay, from the mixed up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler.
That sounds familiar, yeah. I
All
remember
right.
the mixed up files part. That stands out in my memory.
Yeah, so that's they also made a 1973 film and a 1995 film
I don't know that I ever saw
based
the
on the
films.
material.
It was just books.
It's
in my head.
the book's from 1967.
I think either my mother read that to me when I was really young, or I read it as a young adult. But that's why my memory of it's so fuzzy. But I remember it from that childhood phase.
I feel you. I remember when I was young, I read all the Nancy Drew books, all the Hardy Boys. I couldn't tell you what any of them were about. Oh, and I'm pretty sure I read the Boxcar.
Yeah, I
Children
remember
or
the
whatever they
Boxcar
were.
Children too. It's similar, only they lived in a museum instead of a boxcar.
As you do.
I don't know if that was better or not, but
Well, they had bones to gnaw on if they really wanted to.
I don't know if it was natural history. Could have been.
Art, then. They could have gnawed on lots of frames.
I hear Picasso's taste great.
Yeah, so I...
No idea. Completely lost.
So far, cautiously optimistic about enjoying the rest of Final Fantasy 15. It's
Have
not
you-
grabbing me the way I hoped it would, in spite of playing 5 or 6 hours last night, and it felt like the time flew. It didn't feel like I spent nearly that long. It doesn't feel super Final Fantasy-ish to me.
It's got more of like a slight Kingdom Hearts vibe, at least.
It
for like
does, but it
yeah.
also doesn't scratch my Kingdom Hearts itch because it's not cartoony enough.
Yeah, and there's no like Goofy and Donald.
Right.
So.
The Disney. Oh, Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see.
is
I know
Disney,
it's
yeah.
I know it's about to get into like the fantasy stuff and the story will actually happen, and then that might turn it all around for me. I'll report back.
Have you got to fight any of the giant Titanic things yet? Because it seems like those come up
I got my ass kicked by one.
on purpose, or like.
No, not on purpose. It was.
I mean, you're like, hey, that thing's over there. Let me go piss it off, or was it came upon you?
a little of both. There's on the map. There's
Crazy.
those different points where you can go and pick up stuff. And unfortunately, the collector in me, I'm kind of a raccoon. I'm like, oh, there's a shiny thing over there. One of them happened to be in a pit, which I decided sounded like a great idea to jump down into.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like right where it is, out the back of the giant old gas station. And there's like one way out, and there was a giant thing in the way. I was level 3 at the time, saw the monster, so I was level 38 and went, I can take it. Couldn't take it.
Sounds like there was actually no way out.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like I think if I had run around it, or I could have teleported past it and then just like kept my skinny black jean ass running, I might have gotten away from it, because there are combat zones. If you go outside the zone, they don't really pursue you unless it's nighttime. Also got my ass kicked at nighttime by
Nighttime
a bunch of bombs.
Is rough in that game, but you can sleep to get over it.
Oh, to get over
Yeah,
nighttime.
you can camp, and that way you just skip right through it. But all the monsters are way more powerful at nighttime.
Have you been out driving at night? Because Noctis is the only one that can drive at night. Because Ignis, he's just scared to drive at night for whatever reason. Because the daemons are out. But if you're driving at night,
It's funny when you say that because it makes it sound like the daemons
It did
are
sound
out.
southern, but I just assumed
no,
that was
they're
correct.
daemons.
it's spelled Daemons.
Yeah.
It's
The problem
daemons.
I have with that is going back to books
Like a
again. One of my
computer
favorite
term.
series is this bizarro fantasy series by an author named Anne Bishop, and one of the it's kind of weird, but one of the main characters in it is he's the son of Satan. His name is Daemon, and first of all he's a good guy, but then again so is Satan.
Satan.
when
Satan.
it's so he's like one of the main characters in it. So I see that and I'm like, oh, Daemon, and then I'm like, no, it's not. It's just
See,
they're just trying to be fancy about demons.
I think Daemon from the Vampire Diaries, obviously.
Obviously,
Yes.
And
Come
the
on.
Vampire
That is
Diaries are a
obviously a
TV show. What is
Yes.
that about?
It's about vampires, and
They
their
keep
diaries?
diaries.
they do keep diaries occasionally. They find love in the most odd of places throughout several hundred years of their life. Sort of. I don't know.
What would be an odd place for a vampire to find love?
Anywhere they're
Like the
vampires.
moon or-
I mean, according to Twilight, high school.
No, that's apparently the most common place for them to go trawling for tail.
That show is like something that I kind of regret telling
Wait.
people I watch.
Vampire Diaries?
Yeah,
Well, you
like,
just told a
I
lot
know,
of people
I
that
did.
you watch it.
But that's okay. I don't care. The bottom line though is like it is so much like Twilight at the beginning that you want to just forget about it.
Are
and
the
then-
vampires sparkly?
Not really. They do burst
Are
into
they
flames and
daywalkers?
shit, but they have like these cool fly rings that keep them from bursting into flames. They have to accessorize, is what it is. And then like about season 2, shit starts getting real and people get their heads ripped off and their hearts
Nice.
ripped out. It's like the beginning of the
Now, when
plot.
you say
is like,
hearts
what?
ripped out, dude, since
I mean,
it's
like-
diaries, so physically removed, not like Sandy didn't
So
call me
sad.
back.
They rip the heart out, then they write about it in their diary
Okay, gotcha.
with the blood normally.
That's good ink.
Yeah,
it
it's
lasts
true, it
for
does.
actually
It
not
stays
great. And then
for
the
a
dog
while.
eats it because it's like tasty.
Gross.
What?
What?
That-
Great-
We're,
what?
we're just we've gotten off track. I don't.
yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
true. Final Fantasy.
I don't even
You know who
that.
hasn't played Final Fantasy yet?
Who?
This guy
Well,
because
you-
of
you haven't
Time
played-
Warner Cable.
What's going on?
It doesn't work.
Your internet just doesn't work.
So Sunday night it just stopped. It abruptly decided it no longer functioned,
Wait.
which is yeah.
I want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Spectrum.
Yes, it is
There you
Spectrum now, as they will tell you anytime you call. And so I don't have anything but a modem in my house. I don't have TV service. I don't have anything. So it comes in
Don't
to
they
my
charge
house.
you more for internet if you don't get the TV package with it these days?
They do.
I mean,
They just
it's
really
still
want
a
to be
smaller
able to
bill
say
overall.
they have a lot of people on their TV service, so they will charge you to not have it.
It's not more. It's the internet may cost more, but the package still costs less. So, like they'll say, oh, let's say it's $50 for internet if you get the add-on TV package. So it's like, but then it's like $40 for the TV. Otherwise, it's $60 for the internet. So you're paying 60 versus 100.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not with Time. Yes, I am. I am with Time Warner.
you mean Spectrum?
I'm with
Spectrum
with
Time Warner.
somebody. God
Actually,
damn
it's
it.
Charter,
Spectrum Warner.
technically, I think is what owns it. But anyway, so I've got a modem, which I bought myself because that whole like, well, you can use our modem, but we'll charge you $5 a month
Yeah,
thing
it's bullshit.
is a scam.
Exactly.
So don't do that. Buy your own modem. Anyway, so I've got my own modem. And it lost connection. Like I got the lights are on, but the hey, I need to talk to the internet light is just blinking and
You
blinking,
know, if
blinking.
you'd rented that modem,
Well, here's the thing.
You'd be
here's-
even angrier when this
I'd be angrier, but I'd be less justifiably angry at this moment
and you'd
because
also
what
be
the
less
situation,
financially privy to fix it. You'd
That's
have
true.
less money.
But the situation I've got right now is I'm like, look, I've called them. It's Monday morning. It's still not back. Usually it's back already. I'm like, hey, can you send somebody out? And they're like, oh yeah, we can't send anybody out there until tomorrow. Like, all right, fine, whatever. So I schedule time. I was like, but hey, listen, I'm not going to be there. And he's like, oh no, someone's got to be there. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be there. I can't not go to my job so that guy can go to his job.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, whatever. So we'll send somebody. Well, they called me later that day, like, oh yeah, the guy's ready to come. Like, you said it was tomorrow. I was like, well, okay, I can't be there, but can he just look at the outside of the house? Oh, he's an inside guy. Wait, you mean
he's an inside guy.
he doesn't do the outside of the
He
house?
can't
He's a
go
cable
outside.
fixer that just does the inside? All right. Well, fine.
He
Schedule me
was
for another
raised
day.
indoors, Ryan.
He never seen the sun. He's a vampire. He doesn't have a fancy ring. So anyway, we reschedule it, and then again, I tell him I'm not going to be there. Look, I've at this point I took the modem outside the house to where it enters the building and directly connected it there. I got an extension cable. I went all the way around the side of the house. The modem still doesn't work there. So it's like either it's the modem, and that's my problem, not yours. You don't own it. Or it's the signal. So just send someone to check the signal. Please, just send someone to check the signal. I tell this to every person. And they're like, no, we can't do that. Somebody's got to be there over 18 with a driver's license. I'm like, but here's the situation.
Wait, they
it's
have to be
my
able to
modem.
drive?
I just need you to check the signal. If it's not the signal, then I'll buy a new modem. They're like, eventually I always wear them down. They're like, okay, we'll do that. So this morning, they were scheduled to come at 8 o'clock. The guy's at my house. And they call me. I'm like, again, not there. If you could just have him check the signal, that'd be great. And they're like, okay, sure. Follow up. Yeah, he just left.
What? What?
Every one of them tells me okay, and then they don't do it.
You even put the thing outside for him.
No, the modem's not outside. It's like, just check the signal.
Okay.
I want you to walk to the side of my house with your little doohickey, plug it in, and go, oh shit, it's our fault. And then fix it. And if it's not your fault, I'll buy a new modem. That's all. I'll do it. I'll go do it. All I want you to do is check the signal. I'm not going to buy a new modem until you check the signal. No, we can't do that. Somebody's got to be there.
So
they're not going to leave until the problem is resolved. I'm like, well, you can't fix the problem because I'd have to buy a new modem.
Even if you just bought a new modem, you have to call them to have it like programmed
Which
in.
is fine, but it still has to talk to the network.
Then they'd have to come back, and you'd have to be there, and they'd have to go inside.
So anyway, I'm leaving early tomorrow to go home.
What are you going home for, man?
Because someone has to be there over the age of 18 with a driver's license.
What happens
What?
if it's an 18-year-old?
So they can check the signal.
Who can't
what if
drive?
They don't have what if it's like Gavin or Michael or someone who can't drive?
What's the driver's license got to do with it?
I don't know.
Is it in case they shock themselves? You have to drive them to the hospital.
I don't know.
Is
Maybe
it
it's
like
just
prove that you're not the nosy
verify.
neighbor?
Maybe to make sure I'm over 18. I don't know. Because if it was a 17-year-old, you might as well not be there.
The internet, I'm having a rough relationship with the internet and games as well. Internet, not that kind of rough relationship. But what platform did you get Final Fantasy on?
Xbox.
Okay. You haven't got it yet. So I normally buy on Xbox. And the reason I was asking you guys about the achievement stuff earlier is I would have probably purchased it on Xbox by default. I don't pay attention to my gamer score anymore. I haven't for years, but I still default to Xbox because that's where my sort of history is, and I have achievements and I would just auto add them to the thing that I don't care about. It's a weird sort of like auto platform thing. I mean, Microsoft built it very, very intentionally, probably specifically for people like me to just subconsciously go, this one, even though it's probably, looks a lot better on a PS4.
I do that same thing.
However, I ended up buying it on the PS4 because we were like, oh, well, it's kind of like the opposite of Bethesda. They have a lot of trouble with PlayStation. They work way better on Xbox. Well, Square Enix, I just feel like they have such a long, storied history with PlayStation. They know what they're doing there, and I'm going to get it for that platform because it's just going to be better and it's going to be easier and it's all going to work. Preloaded the game. Very excited about preloading on consoles these days. Really happy about it. It was loaded. It was ready to go. Watching that little countdown timer, like it's gonna unlock in 15 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got my drinks. I've got some ice cream. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. Counts down, and then it says 0 unlocked. Great, you can play it. Go in to play it, and then it wants to install the day one patch because it didn't fucking preload the day one patch. If you're gonna preload a game, why would you not preload the day one patch? And I know it was available, like the day one patch was available, more like day -1. It was there. It was ready to go.
Yeah, that's the nomenclature issue. It's a day negative. It's a day one patch.
And so I had the game preloaded, installed, ready to go, and this is what I was greeted by.
Oh no! It was like an
long
8 gig
time.
patch, right?
It was
7 point something.
Yeah, the patch was bigger than the game.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it. I think want to say the game was like 6 gigabytes, maybe something like that. The patch was like 8 gigabytes.
That game is only 6 gigs?
No,
I have no
That's
idea.
like I think it's like 50.
Okay, well either way,
makes
it
more
only
it's around there.
660,
Yeah.
whatever.
It was a big patch.
The point being, the game itself downloaded and installed in like an hour and a half. I was pretty happy about that, especially if it was 60 gig. But then it goes to download the day one patch.
Well, it's because everyone in the world was simultaneously now downloading
Why
that patch.
didn't they preload that? Why would you not do it? And then I hear from everyone who got it on Xbox One, oh no, it just unlocked and then it went in and it was fine. Because it did download the day one patch. I don't know why it didn't auto preload it. I was fucking furious because I had scheduled everything around this, and now it's saying in 9 hours, come back and we'll talk again.
PlayStation has always had kind of a sordid history with patches, right? Like they, especially back in the days of like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, there would just be patch after patch after patch. I think
killed me.
I think
Well, like
so they don't offer. You don't have to pay for patches as a developer, right? On PlayStation. Maybe I'm wrong because I know Xbox you get like one or two freebies and then
it's
like
varied
a
a lot.
freebie per time,
They've both changed their policies an awful lot. I remember Xbox 360, I think, was a point where they extremely limited the patches that you could do on a game, and so but it kind of resulted in developers then holding back the patches and doing them in groups on Xbox, where I think at the time on PlayStation they could do them just, a lot more freely, and so PlayStation games would get more frequently updated. I may be remembering that wrong. It's been a while, but that's what I seem to recall. Something like that anyway. And so they just said, all right, well, fine, you don't need to worry about it anymore because then you just don't update your games enough, and then the game looks bad on our platform in comparison. So I think they changed it, but that policy seems to shift pretty frequently as to update limits and that sort of thing. So I think at the moment, someone just introduced a limit though, or said they were going to introduce a limit.
I think wasn't the other issue with PlayStation that they would never pre-patch your original download. So you would, no matter how long the game had been patched, you would still have to download the original and then download all the patches.
That was like the problem I had. Like I played my PS3 for like the exclusives, it was like Little Big Planet, stuff like that, and I played them infrequently because they just had to wait to release, and I would go like maybe 2 or 3 months without playing my PS3, and then have to download like 8 updates, and then it had to download each update individually, install them all individually, and I'm like, man, you could just do one, like the last one, and that would be great. But that's not how it works because it patches off of like the old infrastructure. So that was like a 3-hour process to play a PS3 game. And like by the time it's done, I don't want to do it anymore.
God, you remember just like even the firmware updates for.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and
I think I timed
I didn't
it.
think about the game update too.
Yeah, I think I timed it like at one point, and this was years and years ago. But I timed it, and it was like a couple of hours between pulling a PS3 out and then being able to actually like play the game that I was trying to go, because it just like the updates had been taking so long. And obviously that depends on your
like
internet
where you
speed.
are,
But the thing that upset me about being told that it was going to be 9 hours to download my day one patch and that I couldn't play the game until then, like I couldn't even start a new game without like it was just that option was locked down. Maybe if I'd not been connected to the internet, I don't know. It's a bit.
Did they? Well, they substantially changed things though.
It was a very big patch. It added a bunch of stuff, and it also it added cutscenes because they introduced a bunch of scenes from the Kingsglaive movie into this to try to help piece together and fill in the story and everything. So like it's a legitimate big patch, but I would have played a little bit of it, and I would have played it again, but at least I would have been fucking playing something.
True.
Because all you could do is, I think their version of like Xbox is like you can start playing it now, and really what it is just like you can run around in a circle, and this thing is they have like an open combat sort of mini game.
Yesterday,
I'd say typically PlayStation's implementation of that Play Now thing is usually better, but
I
not
wouldn't
in every case.
I wouldn't
obviously.
have needed it if they had just preloaded the day one patch. Here's the thing: that story gets worse. Because we were, so I left it overnight. I was very mad, but I left it to go overnight. Went to bed, figured I'll get up I'll go into work. Our internet at the office is bomb. So I'll download it on the PS4 there. Everything will be great. I'll have a couple of hours with it and we'll stream in the afternoon. So I got into work early. I got like a little bit before 10. That's early for us. And immediately started it. Game downloaded fine. Went to update. 1,500 minutes. On our internet, I talked to tech. I made sure we were on like the console subnet because we have like a specific network for our consoles and everything, so it doesn't interfere with like all the other stuff. It's
to get open NAT is what.
Yes,
for.
exactly. Because if you don't have an open NAT on PlayStation, I guess it actually slows the download speeds down and everything. So all that was good to go, and it was still like, oh my god, by afternoon it was still not done. And I had to go home and get my PlayStation that had spent all fucking night updating and drive back to the office with my home PS4 in order to play the fucking game. It was ridiculous.
I had to do that yesterday too.
Okay, well, I feel slightly better
was,
because I have someone else to be angry with.
That was for the Xbox. That's why I went to Mika's and got sick.
Man, I can't wait to be angry.
Everyone who played it on Xbox was like, "Oh, you had a problem with it? But that's weird. It just like it unlocked, and then I was playing it, and I was like."
Well, I was like, mine at home. I had that where it's like it just unlocked right away. But the one here, I downloaded originally, and the Xbox I'm using is Jack's old Xbox, and it apparently doesn't download updates for me at all. So I had to wait for that update to download all day. Started it around 10, and then it wasn't done by the time we finished the stream.
Oh my god!
So we had to go run back to get Mika's hard drive from home and just use that.
So update your copies now.
Yeah,
if you have internet,
play them. Maybe. Who knows when?
But then Ryan, you can just buy a physical copy and not worry about any of this.
Well, I already have a code for the Xbox version, so.
Well, you're screwed then. Actually, I mean, you can just download it.
Really
you can download it here, and that's fine. But oh god, it was just. You know when you really want to be happy about something, and all the circumstances make it so hard.
Yeah,
and like I don't demand to be happy about a lot of things. Sometimes being angry is fun, but I just really wanted to play it.
I get that, especially a game that you've waited like 10 years to play.
Yeah, everyone says like, "Oh, you've been waiting 10 years. What's another 9 hours?"
A lot.
It's a fucking lot, man. It's a lot.
It's been since Sunday. What's happening in the world?
I don't know that you want to know, man.
Okay. Well, I guess we better stop then.
Yeah, on that note, super bright, cheery note. Report back when you've got internet. Let us know all of the new discoveries.
Can't wait till they come tomorrow afternoon. They're like, oh yeah, it's a problem outside. And then I bury his body behind the house.
That might be the problem.
Well, don't do it until after you need him. By the way, someone on Twitter said that you can actually buy one of those machines. The little sensor things.
Well,
it's like $350.
Fix my problem though. It still has to come fix it. But
no, but it will tell you if you should be killing them.
It won't matter. They'll still just tell me, "Oh yeah, we'll come."
Wouldn't you be even
Fucking
madder?
guy thinks we're gonna come.
Wouldn't you be even madder if you figured out what the problem was and then they show up and they're like, "Yeah, I guess thanks for figuring that out."
I'm pretty much
now.
at that point where I'm like, it's this or this, and this isn't your problem.
Mm-hmm.
So just look at it. See you next week.
We'll find out. Did Ryan kill someone? Did he not? Next week on the patch.
That's not an actual threat. Please still come to my house. I won't bury you anyway.
He won't. He will kill you and not bury you. That's how much he hates you.
No, you'll be fine. I'll make cookies if you just come and stay.
So we'll be back next week with another episode of The Patch. And thanks to Tipsy Elves for sponsoring this episode and for giving me a kick-ass sweater. And if you are a Rooster Teeth First member, don't forget to check out the Patch Post Show.
Bye.